I know we're counting down. Hold on. Gotta cover up.
Welcome as Rod slides into his seat at the last second.
What?
Welcome to 3R'S Sports with Robbie Davis, Rod Mehta, and Randall Cunningham. And I'm having all kinds of trouble with camera right now, but it looks clean. It's Tuesday night, y'all. Robbie, welcome back home, man.
Thank you. I'm $1,000 poorer. Thank you guys for who I guess thank you and not thank you. In the past week, my wife was able to raise over $1,000 for Dare to Dance and the Kidney Foundation. And true to my word, I matched that just before we got on air. So if any of you guys donated, thank you. And she keeps marching forward. She's up over $20,000 now.
Oh my gosh.
To the Kidney Foundation. So thanks.
And can we officially announce that 3R Sports is a sponsor of the event coming up?
Yes, we can.
We will have a representation there and something we're very proud of. And of course, with this crowd, we sponsored, what would we sponsor? The bar.
Yes.
So 3R Sports is at the bar.
And hopefully the drinks don't kick in and I don't do another match this week.
Hey,
all right.
Rob, when is the event for everyone?
It is October the 23rd. I believe it starts at 7 o'clock at the convention center. For all of you sports fans, they did not do a great job at looking at the calendar. That is Tennessee, Alabama.
Well, they did a great job. If you don't want to go to Tennessee, Alabama.
Yeah. I told Allison I'd be at the bar, and about when it gets out of hand is about the time. Well, it'll probably get out of hand in the first quarter, but I'll watch till halftime and then go in the event.
All right, Robbie Davis is in the house. We welcome from LA, not South Central, Mookie from Nashville.
He is from Nashville. Yeah,
was committed to Tennessee before being drafted.
I did know that. I was pretty amazed. He was from Nashville. Amazing player. Bless you. I'm actually going to be broadcasting from Southern California next week. Finally able to head home after the pandemic. So my little one is very excited. We're probably going to one or two Dodger games, he's been watching the NLCS from last year constantly on YouTube. So sorry about that, Randall, despite the A on your hat. That was the one where the Dodgers were down 3-1 in case anybody forgot, and came back to win the series.
Let me find the mute button here. Hold on just a second.
He loves it, though. It's crazy. More excited than I ever was at that age. And he already packed a suitcase, which consisted of all Dodger stuff, Bellinger jersey, Mookie jersey, and he's ready to go.
Is that heat wave is it hitting LA, or is that just in the Pacific Northwest?
It's hot there, but not like the Pacific Northwest. They had exceptional heat like a week ago, I believe, or 2 weeks ago, but nothing like what we're seeing in the Pacific Northwest.
Since his dad stinks at giving us updates from sporting events, we think we can get a little correspondent to send us some pictures to RiverCity-Media.
Yes.
I think that's a great assignment. I just created him a job at RiverCity-Media. He will do it for him, Raj. Just let him take the pictures of the games and upload them to RiverCity-Media, and that will be our special correspondent.
Done.
He'll love it. I'll love it. So
now he's 2 years younger from, I think the other kid's 9 or 11, and that kid's a superstar. So you got to give him 2 years if that kid's the standard, which he shouldn't be because that kid's amazing. But he knows his stuff. He knows the Dodgers. Doesn't like Freddie Freeman, which is the first person on earth. Even I like Freddie Freeman from Fountain Valley, California. He likes Acuna, but he calls him Freddie Fart Man. I think I've said that before. But much to my wife's dismay. Anyways, we will definitely have a correspondent out there.
One other question before we go on any further. While you are in California, will you be going to the basketball arena and just getting down in like Hail Mary and the Staples Center any, or are you just going to be able to stay away from it?
It's kind of funny. The last time I was able to go home was Christmas, 2019, and we got to see USC play at Staples. And since it was USC, I think they played LSU or Texas A&M. I was able to we were right behind the basket, so I had my shot that time. Yeah, I've been to Staples and Galen Center, neither very full when the USC's basketball's playing, but I'll see what I can do. That's the bottom line.
All right, interesting. We're talking about everybody's sports craziness right now. Mr. Robbie Davis of 3R'S Sports. This week, you were able to experience something that not everybody can, unless they were willing to write a check. And evidently, somebody in front of you that wrote a check also crashed a NASCAR. Robbie took place in the NASCAR, was supposed to be a drive along. It ended up being a ride along. But, Robbie, you came back on fire. Tell us about your trip to NASCAR land.
Yeah, so the people that watch the show, people that know me know that I am a NASCAR fan. I just like it. I've never been to a race. It's always fascinated me. And I really got into it in college, and I've been into it ever since. Didn't grow up racing, just kind of started watching it, got into it. Don't know much about it, don't know much about cars, just kind of interests me. Well, yeah, so got this package, I guess probably 2 years ago now, and it's been postponed a couple of times. So the package was a 3-lap ride along with a professional driver, and then get in and drive 10 yourself. And so we get there, some complications. One, and this is of no fault of the people putting on the event. They were all very nice, but we get there and it's packed because it's everyone from November of last year that got pushed into this. They only do it 2 times a year at National Motor Speedway, so we got pushed to this date. So it was overcrowded to start with. Had some rain, got a rain delay, had to let the track dry, and then there was a slight wreck on just one of the lower level cars, but got that cleared up, and then I got to take my ride along with the professional driver. Couple takeaways. One, it's insanely hard to get in those cars, and it's just you twist your body in an odd way. I understand why, because on the way up there, I was thinking, why don't drivers drive older, and why don't they,
Going to be on.
Yeah, it is hard to get in those cars, and it is tight, and you're looking straight forward. Most people know you're low to the ground, and like going around it, you can't see the grandstands. Like you're in there, and you are so close to the road. And then the amount of information that you have to take in and figure it out, and the speed at which you're doing it. I was just like, so, it's 4 turns, and where you're passing, where you're supposed to pass, where you're going to, lay back. And this was just us, the only car on the track. And it's so hard to keep track of what's going on, and even pit row. And it's just like, it's amazing. And I just can't imagine one for doing it for 4 hours at that speed, and with, 40 other cars on the track, and going 3 wide. And, in our training, they were just like, there's no tread on the tires whatsoever. So if you slam the gas, you're hitting the wall. Like you can't control them. And so just really a great respect for what they do. And I was thinking, like, I was driving with somebody that's not even good enough to make any of the series. Like that's his job, is just twice a year to go out and drive this car. And so it was amazing. I didn't get to drive. So somebody, I don't know who he was, but it was a $900 upgrade to buy like the most recent car that had been on the Cup Series.
Right.
And so he did it, and he was giving it hell, and I was impressed. Watched him go around, and then all of a sudden the track goes silent, and he wrecked it. And so totaled it, and then that ended the day for everybody. And so I got a rain check, and I guess I'll be going back in November for my driving time.
Hey, and let's put a picture of that on the 3R's website if you can send me. I think I have it still.
Yes, I will send it right now to you again.
And we'll have it posted at the end of the show so you can see what it's like.
So you,
Robbie,
sorry, I was just going to ask. You have a newfound respect for drivers, and that kind of goes to the question. I agree with it now, but that's the age-old debate: are golfers athletes? Are race car drivers athletes? And is that relative to the four major sports? I mean, 4 hours in that thing. I mean, you can't be some lard butt, doing that stuff. Golfing, you walk 100 holes in 4 days and see how you feel. Are they skill events or are these true athletes?
So, and what I would say is, do you consider triathletes? I mean, or Ironman people or marathon runners, are they athletes? I mean, you're doing something that's
Endurance.
extremely difficult for a long period of time. And you put on NASCAR, the mental and the physical strain on your body. And I mean, I do think golfers are athletes. However, all of us can get up in any condition and go play golf. Some people are better than all that. There is no way you can get up and say, I'm going to go race those cars around a track like that and make it out unscathed. It was just impossible. I mean, and I was with, I'm not a car guy. Like I said, the people that were there, though, were car guys and, grew up at least racing in their towns and had experience. And there were still wrecks, and it was just them on the road by themselves. I mean, not on them by themselves, but it wasn't, drafting and turning. The other thing I want to bring, the amount of trust that the drivers have to have with their spotters and how all of that works together is amazing.
Very cool.
And we've talked about it briefly here. I'm a huge IndyCar fan, which seems like would be your sport, Rob, and I'd be the NASCAR guy, but we're opposite. And when I had a chance to go do the NASCAR ride alone, they didn't tell me not to do it, but they said that at 6'5" and 265, it probably wouldn't be a pleasant experience for me to get into that car. But I've also set into an IndyCar. And if you're over 5'5", you're not getting into that car. No. I don't know if it's a sport, but it is definitely endurance. And it is a mental game that none of us, not me included, can probably understand. Do you think? Go ahead, Roger.
I was going to say it's the loudest thing I've ever seen. I've been to the Long Beach Grand Prix, and talk about a newfound respect. It was awesome, and people loved it. I mean, Formula One was huge. Wait, is that different than IndyCar?
Yes.
Oh, my apologies. Whatever the Long Beach Grand Prix was, that was the coolest, one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
It's a race. Yeah.
It's a race with cars, but it was loud as you know what, but very cool.
Is in your opinion, Raj, is it a sport?
Or are they athletes is the question. It's a sport.
It's a sport, yeah. Yes. There were times where I didn't believe that was the case. I would bring up, our billiards players that play 20 tournaments in a day, or ping pong players. Are they athletes? I mean, why not? It's 2021. Let's expand our horizons and definitions and conceptions. But yeah, I mean, even if I could drive 500 laps doing those things, I mean, if it was easy, then everybody would do it, especially everyone in the South. No offense, but yeah, man, it's for the special, for the elite, for the 1%ers.
Hey, the best, one of the best drivers ever, Jimmy Johnson, is from California.
Yeah, the Rainbow Warrior, whatever they call it.
No, that was Jeff Gordon.
Oh,
He's
my
from
bad.
California also.
Yeah, he is from California.
Yeah, they're both from California.
But people respect Jimmy Johnson. People weren't all that stoked on Jeff Gordon, right?
Jeff Gordon was one of the first that was from outside the South, and and going against Earnhardt, and then essentially Jimmy Johnson just dominated, and they had to change the rules for him. He won seven in a row, and it was just like we have to change the rules.
Wow, I didn't know that. Interesting.
So Brandon James said, of course, golfers are athletes. Golf is nowhere near as dangerous as NASCAR. If you go out and golf and shoot 107, you still golfed. If you go out and make a half a lap around the track and crash, you still drove. That's the difference between us and the pros. Chang always has a lot of input, and I tend to agree with him. I used to absolutely not believe that NASCAR was a sport or athletic. I thought it was just whoever the best engineer was, team won every week. But having been to a bunch of races now, IndyCar and NASCAR, man, there's a talent to drive a car into a corner at 200 miles an hour that's as rare as being able to hit a baseball thrown 99 miles an hour, in my opinion.
Yo, Chain is the king, but I didn't quite follow that logic. That's the first time. I'm sorry to call you out, bro. But I still love you.
I think what he was saying is you can mess up a golf course and you're still a golfer. But if you drive a car half a lap, are you a racer?
Another discussion, though, correct? I guess they're all athletes, though, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you play some of those tougher courses, look at the U.S. Open. When that rough is up there, to be able to – the hand-eye coordination and to be able to – the muscle it takes and the precision to chip out of that or get out of that and angle the ball and back. It's a lot of talent. It's not something just anybody can go out there and do.
Right.
Not easy.
Robbie, and last question about NASCAR. You said you've never been to a race. Is this now something you want to do after being to the lot or drive along? Do you want to go to a race?
Oh, I've always wanted to go, and it's just never for some reason, I always have Bristol and something comes up. And then I was supposed to go to Talladega and I broke my foot. I want to go to Atlanta this summer. I think it's the 24th, like the week after my birthday. So I may try to sneak down there and go. I can tell you after the experience, though, of Allison being in the sun waiting on me to go, she will not be going with me. She was not impressed.
I've been to Talladega. I've been to Bristol. I've been to one of the old North Carolina tracks, North Wilkesboro. But I'm telling you, the funnest I ever had was at Bristol. And I think it's because at Bristol you can see the whole track and you don't lose track of the drivers. And it's really different. Ironically, you've seen a football game in Bristol, but not a race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another ultimate irony is my sister, who knows nothing about sports, but tends to watch due to her New England-based husband. She's been to Fontucky. That's Fontana, but everybody calls it Fontucky. And she said the first 10 minutes were the coolest thing ever. But after that, she was like, she's a physician, so there's only so many beers she can drink despite being in the Mehta family. And then it took 4 hours to get out of the parking lot. So she was like, overall, something cool to experience, but you got to really love racing. Because I've had opportunities to go, but she was quite persuasive from my perspective. I'd like to go for 15 minutes and bounce and drink a lot of beer and maybe see the pit or wherever all the booths are. What do they call that? That area down by the
infield.
Infield. Yeah, I knew that. That would be pretty cool.
Well, ironically, this is setting up to a nice lead to our next story. This weekend, it was a great Sunday to the finish of the TPC. Also, we saw a Baylor graduate. I don't know if we call him a Chattanooga native, but a Baylor graduate win on the PGA Tour. But it definitely was a great Sunday. Second longest playoff in PGA history. Robbie, I believe you might have attended that same foresaid school. Were you excited for Mr. Harris English to get a win on the PGA Tour?
Yes, I was excited. Yes, Harris graduated in 07. I graduated in 03, so we missed each other, I think, a little bit. I want to say one of his older brothers was there when I was there. They're a good family. But yeah, I was excited for that. Nice, anytime you see a Baylor grad out there doing good things. Actually, it's something crazy. I think of the 140 PGA Tour cars out there, I think 6 are Baylor grads. Which
I
is
thought it was 5, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, something along those lines. But yeah, for a school that's not necessarily, there's not a golf course. I mean, there's like 3 holes on campus, but it's not something like a golf mill. But just kind of crazy that they're all from there. Actually, Luke List was a boarder his first 2 years with me and our friend Lanier, who's in our fantasy league, who comes on here occasionally. He was a boarder with us, and so he graduated with us. So yeah, some good golf blood. I missed most of the tournament because I was driving the NASCAR. I did get home and started getting texts like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" So flips it on. I saw the last 3 playoff holes. Talk about clutch golf and them going back and forth and the ball bouncing the right way. And but yeah, really really happy for Harris and good for this area. And what a great, and talk about a grueling match, and the both stamina and physically and mentally to get through that.
It's like Baylor's full of wealthy white kids or something. I mean, what a surprising statistic.
Yeah, I'll bring up something Baylor at the end of this conversation. I want to bring up some other. Baylor's sports is becoming on par with some of the elite prep schools in America.
Suck it, Macaulay.
Right now, as we said, Baylor stands to have possibly a first-round baseball choice and possibly a second-round baseball choice.
Wow.
Raj, did you get to see any of the match? And does that drama to casual fans of 8 playoff holes, is that something golf needs? Is a little more excitement and some alternative finish that maybe brings excitement to Sunday?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I didn't watch it live, but I can't imagine, as somebody who has not really golfed a ton, but enjoys it and realizes how difficult it is, and the pressure based upon like what's in your head to have 8-hole playoff. I mean, that's gotta be insane, let alone for a young guy, right? On that type of stage. It was pretty cool to see. It kind of reminded me of like the US Open, I think it was like maybe 6 or 7 years ago, that went like 16-14 in the 5th set, I mean, like I said, my mom and sister saw that and took notice. It was really cool to see, and those guys were nails, man. I mean, I couldn't imagine it. I really couldn't. Like, I would pass out and start drinking beer after the first whole playoff if I made it.
So whenever I tuned in, whenever I got to the TV, the crowd was very much already for Kramer, chanting Kramer. Was that like that the whole day, or did that come in the playoff? Did they start to pick a side?
I joined about 17 on.
Okay.
And yeah, I think Harris was the not the popular pick the whole time that I watched.
Yeah.
And we didn't rehearse this, but I just want to bring up that Baylor now has won 3 baseball titles. They're a perennial football champion. Their basketball team is going all over and playing like these IMG academies and stuff. Is Baylor becoming the elite of Tennessee sports, Robbie?
We still have a problem with Macaulay in football.
Yeah, well, that exists.
To be fair, Baylor has always, even when I was in school there, they always a great swimming program, a fantastic tennis program. Raj may call these the white country club kid sports.
If he don't,
and wrestling programs, and so they've always been good. Now that the basketball program is getting better, you're starting to get more statewide recognition. I mean, Baylor has no shortage of funding and resources and facilities. So in a way, this is where the expectations are. And so while they're coming up into the scene and being statewide recognizing and then recognition and then more nationwide and regional wide, I mean, that's where Baylor should be. There's no reason for them not. I mean, coaches are, and I don't know this. I presume they're getting six-figure salaries, probably even higher than that.
They hired a basketball coach.
Yep. What's your tuition? I think they're getting six-figure salaries.
Yeah, I mean, they were getting six figures when I was there, which was in 99 to 03. So I'm sure it's up there in the six figures. But yeah, they routinely hire from colleges to come down to high school to coach. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the expectation.
So
what about
baseball program right now? Their shortstop is from New York. Their first baseman's from Chicago.
It's a lovely boarding school.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The young man I'm talking about being a first-round pick is named Cooper Kenny. I went to high school with his dad, Mike, in Ray County. But Cooper's dad, Mike, is the head baseball coach of Baylor now. So that's a story that I'm going to try to get him on the show here at some point.
We learned that from the USC playbook. Yeah. Hey, what is your coaching credential? What's your resume? Oh, you have an awesome son. That's what we're looking for.
Well, the other thing is they used to say about USC, how come Reggie Bush and Lendale White and Matt Leinart didn't do well in the pros? And they said, well, it was a loss of pay grade or pay. What's the phrase?
They couldn't live their lifestyle.
Long story short, they made less money. Actually, my high school, Huntington Beach baseball, home of Tony Gonzalez. I love where I grew up. I don't agree politically. There's a lot of patriots there and Minutemen. But, yeah, Huntington Beach baseball has been very good nationally. Back to the high school in Tennessee discussion where Jalen Ramsey went. Even I knew about Brentwood Academy, right? That they're pretty much next level out of Nashville. So many guys have come out of there. But, yeah, you're hearing Chattanooga area private schools on the national map, and I think that's pretty cool.
ING and Oak Haven and places like that. The last thing, and we'll move on. We got a lot to cover. People criticize Baylor, and they criticize that Baylor is able to do what they do. But, Robbie, I'm going to ask a theoretical question. If you're a family with not the financial means to send your child to Baylor, but he's a great athlete, and Baylor has the ability to allow him to go there, is it not absolutely crazy for these families to go, no, I want to stay at some rural school? Baylor education will change their kid's life for the better. Do you get the argument people make that it's unfair competition?
I am an alum of that said school. Can we talk about a hypothetical, maybe like Macaulay?
Macaulay, Brentwood.
Yeah.
Penny Hardaway is doing it at a public school in Memphis.
Yeah.
Before he went on. So
I have not a friend, but an acquaintance that I know that I went to high school with. He was from Cowan, Tennessee, small town just at the bottom of Swanee Mountain. He was able to board at some boarding school in Chattanooga, and he did it for a year.
Legal.
Yes, did it for a year, and just it's hard when you're 15. I got a little homesick. He got homesick. He transferred out back to his public school in Franklin County. I was able to stay. I see him occasionally around town if I'm over there. Said it's the biggest regret it was his biggest regret of his life, because that would have changed his life, staying there, graduating, and Baylor, Macaulay, the GPS, the schools in this area, the private schools, they have 100% college acceptance rate. They all go to college, and not that college is the end all be all, but it helps.
Wow.
It's just not Chattanooga. It's Brentwood Academy.
Yes. It's MUS. It's
MUS.
With CPA, Christian.
CPA. In Atlanta, it's Best Academy. There's places. It is. it is crazy to think people think they should turn down an opportunity to have their kid attend this school.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I mean, I don't know what it's called, financial assistance. I know it's not called scholarships or financial aid, but I'm sure there's exceptions made, and yes, I mean, I'm of the belief, like, if you can help people, and these private schools have the endowment and they can take some money out of there and help a kid, and whether it's sports, academics, ideally it's both. It's helping them with sports and academics. And if one path doesn't work out, the other one will. And give it to somebody and give them a break.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
know this. I mean, Baylor tuition for a boarding student now. It wasn't when I went to school, but now for a boarder, it's like $53,000. I mean, yeah, they can afford to give a kid a break if he's both academically and athletic, he or she academically and athletically able to meet the curriculum and compete in sports.
And that can be generational in terms of the opportunity for and it's an issue of socioeconomic status. It doesn't matter the race involved, but yeah, one issue I have is I wish as many academic scholarships were given as they give athletic scholarships. But I really don't have hard facts or data on that, so I can't quite make an absolute judgment. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the more opportunities that are given, I think people are realizing in a lot of these private schools, you charge $53,000 for a high school. Good grief. You better have some sort of endowment to help out kids of a lesser socioeconomic status. I think that's very cool.
We're dealing with it, and my daughter has a friend going to a private school for some academic reasons too.
Good.
So I do
That's awesome.
appreciate that there are some elite academies in our area that does this. Now, Hamilton Heights may be the opposite of this. For you don't know about Hamilton Heights, it's mainly a border school, and it's mainly a basketball place, just like Oak Hill is in Virginia. And Hamilton Heights doesn't work the way Baylor or McCallie does. But Hamilton Heights is not TSSA regulated. Baylor plays in a division now where all these things are legal, and more power to them. So I congratulate them. Hamilton Heights can play a state of Tennessee high school, but it does not count against anybody's record officially. So
I'm sure you guys have heard of Mater Dei in Southern California.
absolutely.
They're pretty much a beast. They actually have different tuition rates for Catholics and non-Catholics. I knew a lot of Indian kids that suddenly became Catholic to save $1,000. St. John's Bosco, it's nothing new internationally, or really internationally. But the Chattanooga private school, at least from an athletic perspective, and certainly academic, in the last 10 years has increased in reputation. I didn't know about it. Now I have friends back home that are very well aware of McCallie and Baylor and Ted Turner, and it's very impressive, the development of those programs. And I didn't know they hired college coaches and stuff, but that's pretty cool if you ask me.
They once hired UTC's coach.
Is that good or bad?
That was bad at the time. He's gone too.
Okay.
All right. So we've sung those praises. And again, I'm grateful our city has wonderful places like Baylor and McCallie and GPS and others that are able to do this, and Chattanooga Christian and some other schools. But let's move on. So one of the open topic is like a big, nasty bleeding wound for me right now. And I'll tell you what got me thinking about it is I saw a article published in one of the old sports magazines that still publishes, I think it was Sporting News, that had college football teams by tiers. Tennessee and Nebraska both were in tier 5, with Purdue, not even TCU, they were above them. Vanderbilt,
But
Kentucky.
it was present team, not traditional program history, which obviously Tennessee is not a Tier 5 school, but at present, I mean, can you argue with it?
I didn't. But that all being said, Nebraska, Tennessee, true blue blood schools, in my opinion. How do we start defining success for those two schools? Nebraska is as irrelevant as Tennessee is. Robbie and I became on the air and we talked about the kids that are being recruited right now were won the last time Tennessee played in the SEC championship game.
And lost.
And lost. How do you start? Robbie, you're a Tennessee graduate. What do you find as defined success in 2021 for Josh Heupel and his program?
Success for Tennessee this year.
Or Nebraska, or both, whoever you want to talk about.
Well, let me go overall. Nebraska has an excuse for their decline. They switched conference, no natural rivalry. People aren't moving to Nebraska. They're not a national brand anymore. They play in the Big Ten West. They're out of place. Nobody wants to go there. Tennessee people are moving here. Nashville's growing like crazy. Atlanta's growing like crazy. Charlotte's growing like crazy. The circle you can draw around Chattanooga's growing like crazy. The circle you can draw around Knoxville and all these growing areas. They're still in the SEC. That Florida's been down. South Carolina's down. Like all these, only except for Georgia, everyone in the East has been down. And Tennessee can't get underneath themselves. They can't get their feet underneath themselves. There's just no excuse for it. You got the SEC money, the SEC network. We've been good at basketball. We're good. The fan base is there. I mean, Nebraska's a fan base too. There's just kids still get to see Tennessee play in marketable games, but they're just not putting it together. And so to me, I don't even compare Tennessee and Nebraska because I think Nebraska has some things that just aren't going their direction where Tennessee shouldn't be that way. How I would define success for this first year, really just not getting embarrassed in our three big games, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Florida should be down. We should at least hang with them and then just not get blown out by Georgia and Alabama. Every other game, ball bounce here, ball bounce here. We've all been over the spectrum. I think 4-7, 5 wins is probably the ceiling that I see. It could be 6. I don't see any more than 6. And so, but just showing and really just improving. I think there's a lot of turnover, new staff. I'm not sure how much they've been able to practice with the COVID protocols, and it's been weird, but just some competitive and just really playing hard and not quitting at the end of the game and developing some talent, just showing some progress. I don't think there's a win total because, I mean, honestly, they could go 2-10 or 2-9, but if they're getting better, then all right. I mean, we've got a short recruiting class, and then a whole class pretty much transferred. And so, I mean, Heupel's got his work cut out. He's building from the ground up again.
Raj, to Robbie's point, is the word embarrassment part of this conversation? That Tennessee, they just kicked their number 1 recruit from last year off the team, Caden Salter. You're not an SEC guy. You're not a Tennessee guy. But is the image a problem at Tennessee now? Football, Tennessee football.
My first game ever when I was in graduate school came down from Ohio for Tennessee, Florida. We lost Kevin Smith and the Kevins and all these guys from California, from USC to Tennessee. I was thinking, I didn't even know where Knoxville was. And I consider myself fairly educated. When I came to that game and walked around and saw the strip and the fans and the water, and I understood. it was honestly it was kind of magical, and that stadium was electric, and I haven't seen Knoxville like that since that moment. Robbie pretty much mic dropped it. Nebraska has a lot of issues. They really haven't ever had a rivalry. They've had Oklahoma, et cetera, but they have Texas. They played Colorado consistently on the Friday after Thanksgiving. There were some memorable games, and it's also whatever, the triple option doesn't really work anymore. And whatever they did to get the guys like Tommy Frazier, they're not getting them now. And I don't think anybody wants to go to Omaha. Knoxville, not exactly, the most cosmopolitan area in the world. But if I was a kid and I looked at Tennessee with their facilities, obviously they're following. I mean, I just think the fans deserve better. Are they an embarrassment? There has been times in the last few years, I think everyone would agree that they were an embarrassment. It's an administrative issue, in my opinion, and a coaching issue, which are hand in hand. But there is no reason why Tennessee should be this bad. I mean, they're a very iconic team. No one else ever in any sport has that color orange, or, it's everyone knows about Tennessee, they must acknowledge it. So I think Tennessee, but it's very hard this day and age. And when you're competing against Alabama and Georgia for recruits, I don't know how you turn it around. I would define success. I agree with Rob that I think this is a 4 or 5 win team. I know a lot of people that drink the Kool-Aid every year and they say 6 or 7 wins. They look more disciplined, et cetera. And I would agree with Rob, and that's how you show that you're a better coach team, that you're improving based upon discipline and execution. I commend Heupel for kicking Salter off. It was the second time the kid got busted with weed. Back in the day, we all used to sweep that under the rug, but no longer. And you got to be smarter. And he's doing the right thing. And eventually people will see that if he has enough time there.
Yeah. Rob made a good point. There's no way in 2021 a Tommy Frazier and Lawrence Phillips, was that his name? There's no way they're going to Lincoln, Nebraska to play football. That's just not happening.
No. Agreed.
Does it surprise you when I say University of Tennessee, when you combine the big sports, football, basketball, baseball, is the most attended university in America? To this day, they're a top 5 attended football school, a top 5 attended basketball school, a sold out tiny baseball season. The women's basketball team is the second most attended women's basketball team. Does those facts and how bad the football team has been correlate?
So some of it is just pure. So Tennessee has a really good fan base. I'd say one of the top 5 fan bases in the country. It also helps that we have the largest facilities. Take Thompson Bowling. Only, I think, Louisville and maybe Rupp are the only 2 that are bigger than that. So, and
Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill. So, it's a numbers game for the attendance. Tennessee basketball sells out or close to it every single night, every single game. So you're looking at, you're lapping teams that are, people that are good at both sports. Ohio State, Texas now, who else? Florida. I think Florida's new arena seats 11,000. So you get 10,000 more every single game. Those numbers are going to roll up. And, Neyland at 80% is probably what Florida is at, 95, 100% in football. But the fan base is there. And that's what's even more frustrating with our last decade or plus of just incompetence in hiring and coaching and everything is that, and like Raj says, when Neyland is rocking and when the football team is good, it's a great place to go tailgate, watch a game. Atmosphere is fantastic. But it's just I think in football, the hope has just died. And I think that's the biggest thing. There's just no hope. It's just I mean, we look at our group chain. It's like, well, 3 more years, we'll get a new coach. You know, who's going to be the next coach already? Because we haven't had. Yeah.
But if I may, on that subject, I agree. I think the joke is the only thing more popular in the state of Tennessee is Jesus. But Jesus offers perpetual hope, whereas Tennessee football offers nothing. There's not a ton to do in the area, and to see these fans fill up that stadium. I mean, people love family, and I don't want to pigeonhole or stereotype, but these fans just show up every year. It's 107,000. They deserve better, and I don't understand why. I mean, we can pinpoint certain things, but this is a very loyal fan base. There's no doubt. And, you know, I used to associate their basketball program with, I hate always bringing up USC, but as a football school. But, you know, Tennessee will sell out that arena. I mean, they've been good, but they'll still get, you know, 15,000 even when they haven't been great. And that's not necessarily just because there's nothing to do in East Tennessee. Just kidding. There's less to do, but I mean, the South is extremely loyal. I mean, it's in the DNA of people, and the fan bases are, I mean, no one else in the country, no other region compares. There's no doubt about that. But bottom line, Tennessee fans deserve much better than the last 20 years.
Amen. I agree. And I bought my season tickets just the other day. But, Robbie, one last question about this, and then we'll go back. But I want to ask you from both of your point of view. The two head coaches at Nebraska and Tennessee, their calling card, especially at Tennessee now, is, ironically, they both have been the last coach at UCF. Their calling card is offense. If Heupel wins 4 or 5 games, but he plays a brand of football where they lose 45-30, does the fan base find hope in that fact that it just isn't the annihilations it's been at times?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the brand of football. So we're going. I mean, it's the pendulum swing, right? It's just we went from Butch Jones, an offensive guy, to Jerry Pruitt, defensive guy. That didn't work out. Now we're going back to an offensive guy. Yeah, I mean, I guess what's the standard? I mean, the standard's no longer beating or competing with Alabama, right? I mean, because
that's not the standard for anybody.
Right. I mean, because Alabama's now an offensive juggernaut with a first-round draft pick at every position. So I guess, I mean, Georgia's I mean, yeah, you can be fun, you can score points, but unless we start recruiting and getting better talent and keeping talent, then yeah, I mean, excitement. I mean, I remember when Hal Mummy was at Kentucky and they would, you know, light up the scoreboard but always lose. I mean, I guess it's better than getting blown out. At least make it fun.
This is in the perspective of 21 only. It's at least more fun to be there losing 25-28 than.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, after Pruitt and Jarrett Garantano, yes, Garantano, whatever. Yeah. Yes, first downs are exciting. Field goals are exciting. Yes, I do think just being entertaining, at least hearing Rocky Top played on first downs and touchdowns. Yes, just getting students back into it and having hope. Yeah, I think is you know will be good for the program.
One thing I like about Heupel is he doesn't talk. There's so much rhetoric in Tennessee, you know, brick by brick from Butch Jones, Pruitt talking trash about the defense and how they're going to improve. Lane Kiffin, don't get me started. One of our biggest fans asks who's the most incompetent hire of football coach. I'd probably go with first Butch and then Lane. But, you know, there was a time where everybody bought the brick by brick, and I would hear how they're going to win 10 games and all this stuff. Heupel's not saying a word. And I think the team, you know, for me, it was obvious fans were not happy with play calling. The execution was poor. It was sloppy football. The turnovers mounted. And yeah, it's not all Garantano. The line wasn't as good as they should have been. Receivers aren't running the right routes. Yeah, he forced the ball quite a bit.
Yeah.
But, he didn't commit the penalties that Tennessee committed. So if they can clean up their football, I think the country will notice, and so will recruits.
Yeah, and Brandon, to touch on Brandon's question that he taught, I agree with Raj. I think Butch Jones was the worst hire because he squandered the most talent. You give a competent coach that talent, and he should still be the coach, and he should be still employed with a winning football program. What's the problem is that the donors, the AD, etc. And Randall, I bet, can tap on this more than I can. But Brandon, it's a unique situation. You have a lot of wealthy donors, and then you have the Haslams, who are the wealthy donors, and they want it done one way, and a group of donors may want it another way, and it's an internal fight in the Tennessee family against each other. Is that accurate, Randall?
That is very, very to the point, and to the point where I think it causes dysfunction, and that's how we ended up with Phil Fulmer in place as the AD. Is that you couldn't move in any direction because it's paralyzed.
Mm-hmm.
There's the only other place that I would think there's as powerful as a booster as Jim Haslam is T-Bone Pickens at Oklahoma State. But T-Bone kind of stays out of the way. And Robbie, I think it's accurate when you say they are mass boosters that are on. It's like a war in Knoxville sometimes. It's the Haslam side and then everybody else.
Well, you look at T. Boone Pickens, and you look at like Phil Knight. They're the only show in town.
Yeah.
At Tennessee, you have the Haslams who have their way. You have the Dish Network people. You have a lot of your, behind the scenes you wouldn't know, multi-hundred millionaires, and they're at odds with each other. And it is. Can you ever risk the Haslams pulling their unlimited funds of money away?
So many buildings.
Right.
Always giving $25 million to this building. Always giving $30 million to this building. And to follow up with this, and it'll be the last point, Robbie, I think you're accurate in that it would take, and I hope Danny watched the guy. It's going to take a heck of a strong leader in that AD chair to figure this all out.
Mm-hmm. Well, sorry. Basketball's figured out. I think women's basketball's figured out. Baseball's figured out. Pay the man. All right, now you have to focus just on football and let's get this right. Let's give Heupel the resources he needs to succeed.
I agree. All right, guys, been a great 45 minutes or whatever we're at, but we still got some NFL and some NBA to get through, so let's push on down it. One of our big topics, and we probably spent more time on this topic than anything this week, we were basically a conversation about Super Bowl favorites led to all of us kind of going through the list and picking out a team who's not on that list that everybody brings up that could make it to a Super Bowl or even win a Super Bowl. I'm going to go in order. Robbie picked his team, and then I'll go, and then we're going to let Raj be the anchor man on this one. Robbie, you made a quick decision, and I think a very good decision on the team that you picked.
So what we did is, the obvious favorites, we eliminated that from our selections. We want to get kind of, ball bounces the right way, which teams can make a run and win a Super Bowl. My gut reaction was the Chargers, and after looking into it more, really confident about that as far as being a fringe team that can make a run. Assuming Aaron Rodgers, and this is all assuming Aaron Rodgers is not a Bronco. Because that changes everything. The Chargers are paired. Well, the AFC West is paired with the NFC East, which I like. I think the Chargers sweep the NFC East. They're going to get Washington week 1, which I like. The Chargers are early favors by 1.5. And so I like them to steal that game. And then I think they beat the other 3, the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants with ease. They get Kansas City early, which, a split with Kansas City, or even if Kansas City beats them twice, then I like the third matchup in the playoffs. The Chargers have what you need. They have a good a borderline or a really good quarterback. Borderline, okay, he can be all the goods you need. They have 2 running backs. They have depth running back with Eckler and Justin Jackson. They've got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, Tyron Johnson on the side. You got Jared Cook as a receiver. You have edge rushers, which is what you're going to need to defeat Kansas City, because until anything else fails, Kansas City is your de facto. They're paired with their AFC pairing is the AFC North, and so I think Pittsburgh is going to take a huge step back. I think Ben's old. They get them at the end of the season, so I wouldn't be surprised. So two really good traditional teams, they get the end of the season. They get the Patriots and the Steelers. I would be shocked if the Patriots aren't in transition from Cam Newton to Mac Jones at that time. And I'm not sure Big Ben's got a full season in him. And so I like those 2 teams. The Raiders took a big step back this year, and I think they sweep the Broncos. The Raiders, with their first-round draft pick, we all saw kind of their state of mind. So I don't think the Chargers win the West. Obviously, I think KC is still leaps and bounds above everybody else. But if the Chargers have the market cornered on one thing, it is knowing how to play with either no fans or fans that are against them. They have 17 road games a year, and so if a team can go on the road in the playoffs and make a run, it is the Chargers.
Well said. Nobody in LA really cared if they went there. They used to play where the LA Galaxy plays, and 27,000. It'd still be 90% Raider fans in that area. But the Raiders have a big LA following. I'm interested to see in SoFi what happens, the brand new stadium. LA has a lot of transplants. There's a lot of things to do. It's pretty nice out weather-wise. You've got to win to be successful there, to draw people. It helps if you're entirely conceived from that area. And everyone knows the Chargers came from Kansas City or San Diego, where I went to college. And basically we're in LA by default. But, they market well. Everybody loves the baby blues. I'm a Pac-12 guy. I did not think Herbert would be this good. I've said that before. They did well in free agency. If Derwin James can stay healthy, they signed Chris Harris from Denver, and that guy's a monster. Obviously I'm biased with the Uchenna Nwosu. They drafted Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma. That is a fast defense. And the offense, I think, is already proven, and they got Rashawn Slater, too, the kid out of Northwestern. Offensively, I think we know what they have, and Jared Cook. But defensively, I think they took a big step up. And they did lose Casey Hayward, but, replace him with Chris Harris Jr. I think they'll be fine. So, I think that's a great pick, Rob.
Time out real quick before we get to Raj's team. It looks like Giannis just tore his ACL.
Wow.
I know. Well, Trey's not playing, but if that happens, that's donezo. Oh my God.
Giannis is down. It's not moving. Well, he's getting up now. We'll see. All right. So sorry.
Hey, maybe he'll Paul Pierce it and get wheelchaired and to the locker room and come back fine in 20 minutes.
Such a diva, that guy.
So
worst.
I picked the Arizona Cardinals kind of ahead of Raj. I I really love what the Cardinals did in the offseason. They added a lot of leadership in A.J. Green, J.J. Watt, Malcolm Butler, and even some pieces that they picked up that may not be household names, like Robert Alford. A strange pickup they made that I think is great, Mac Prater, a consistent all-pro type kicker. You now have a defense that's based around Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt playing on the same side of the football field and rushing from the strong side of the field. They did take a couple of hits on defense. They lost DeBron Campbell. They lost Patrick Peterson. On the offensive side of the football, I've never had any doubt that they could score. They did make a change at running back where they let Kenyon Drake walk, Chase Edmonds, but they did add James Conner, which I don't love that move, just so we know it. I don't love that move. What really intrigues me about this team is the change at wide receiver. A.J. Green has sat around in Cincinnati and basically rotted for about 5 years, wanting out. Become so unproductive that his window to get out finally was being this bad. And now you have a defense a set of receivers that 3 years ago I would put on par with the Titans combo of Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. If you had told me in 2018 DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green are going to be on the same football field, I would have been, okay, let's go. Also, a much maligned Kyler Murray. I guess I'm the last guy that really, truly believes Kyler Murray can play quarterback at 5'7", but I really think Kyler Murray can play quarterback at 5'7". Now, all that I said about the Cardinals, the one thing that truly scares me with the Cardinals, Robbie, was kind of the opposite take of what you had, that the schedule was manageable for the Cardinals. So I want to read you guys, the Chargers. I want to read you the first 10 games of the Cards season.
Ooh.
They open up the year at Nashville and the Tennessee Titans. I don't like that for the Cardinals. The next, they at home get Minnesota with now a Patrick Peterson that's on Minnesota's team in a very much grudge situation. They then at Jacksonville, a very winnable game. Fourth game of the year, they go to the LA Rams and play. The Cards could easily be 1-3, 2 at the best. Then that division gets them a little bit. Follows up with the Niners at Cleveland in Week 8. A winnable game in Week 7 with the Texans. Week 8, the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football. Week 9, San Francisco's return to Arizona. In Week 10, the Carolina Panthers. I don't know that anybody has a bigger first 10 games of the season to get through than the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, that's a schedule that can get out from under you and you start losing players' focus.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you turn around and you close. And to me, this is a hard close. Christmas night at Indianapolis, at Dallas, and at the Seattle Seahawks. As much as I like the Cardinals, does their schedule get away to that it's unmanageable?
So they're at Tennessee and at Indy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the two hard teams from their division pairing, they're on the road.
Yes.
Yeah. That they didn't. The schedule makers didn't do them any favors.
No.
So they get obviously
they get Jacksonville and Houston at home.
Houston and who am I missing?
Jacksonville.
And Jacksonville in Arizona.
I mean,
I love what they did, but that schedule really scares me. Robbie, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it just brought me up to a point. Yeah, the Chargers end with Houston, and it's like, does anybody know what the heck Houston's going to look like? Like, I mean,
0-17.
Goodness. All right, Raj.
Raj, take us home. I know you love the Cardinals too. Does that schedule bother you?
Oh yeah, and I did love the Cardinals, and that's why I actually asked to go last because, I don't like the Chargers, but I thought that was a great pick. I'm a big defensive addition guy, and the Cardinals were another team. Losing Kenyon Drake is not. By the way, he's limping back, but I bet you $20 he'll come. That'll be my bet. You're nuts. Giannis will come back and play in this game. The Cardinals, though, when I look at their additions, and it's like the old Raiders used to do. Like Al Davis believed in hiring old cast-off veterans. I mean, yeah, they get Chandler Jones back, and I love the draft pick, Zayman Collins. So their linebacking core is going to be crazy. But, and Rodney Hudson, the Raiders gave away one of the greatest centers of all time for nothing. But A.J. Green's 32. J.J. Watt, I don't think he's been that good and stayed healthy the last few years. Brian Winters, Malcolm Butler. I mean, is this 2014? I don't know if their additions are as convincing as I thought they would be. When I look at, I love the Denver Donkeys more than any other team. If they get Aaron Rodgers with that secondary, forget about it. Yeah, I mean, they'd rival Kansas City, if not be better. They signed Ronald Darby, Kyle Fuller. They drafted Surtain, the kid from Alabama, who's, that kid's amazing. Justin Simmons back there, yikes. I mean, I think really the key to Mahomes is get pressure after him, and they have Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. So I'm a big defense guy. I considered the Washington football team because their defense is nasty. They're widely considered to be the best defense in the NFL. Offensively, though, they signed Curtis Samuel and they signed Fitz, and Fitz is not, Fitz magic. He's far more competent than Dwayne Haskins or anybody else that they've had. And they were in a lot of games last year, and that was with, me at quarterback. And it's not the toughest division in the world. Coincidentally, I also consider Dallas. I think they have the best receiving core with Gallup, Amari Cooper, who he catches the most difficult balls in the world, but he'll drop like a 5-yard wide open slant. And CD Lamb, who ended up being the best receiver, in my opinion, from that vaunted class from last year. But I went with Cleveland. I know it's Cleveland, but I think their additions were outstanding. The former Rams safety, John Johnson III, that guy is amazing. I don't think he gets his due. Even though they signed Jadeveon Clowney, I think Clowney's kind of in the J.J. Watt category of what have you done for me lately? I love the kid they drafted out of Notre Dame. I wanted that kid for the Raiders. Denzel Ward is still there at corner. Ronnie Harrison Jr., they're loaded. And I know Cincinnati will be improved, but I think Pittsburgh's on the way down. I think the question will be Baker. And I think Baker's the same height as Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's not Doug Flutie, by the way. He's 5'10", not 5'7", which is, I
don't believe
that. That would be agreed. That's the stated height.
I consider myself 5'10" also.
Well, I was 5'10" when I was 15, and that's cool. But no, I'm just kidding.
Too.
I wasn't. I am now, but I wasn't. I just think, and Cleveland's a great sports town, and they were close last year. They were 11-5. The schedule isn't the easiest, but it's not the hardest either. And they can run the ball. Obviously, the best running game in the NFL, in my opinion. So when it comes down to it, in running game, offensive line, rushing the passer, and secondary, they all get A's, in my opinion. So I think Cleveland actually could be a Super Bowl, not only participant, but a champion.
I agree. The only thing that bothers me looking at both of the picks that you guys made, it's the AFC seems to be more of a gauntlet to run than the NFC. I almost feel like whoever gets hot out west, LA, the Cardinals, they're the main competition for the Bucks. To win in the AFC, we saw it with the Titans a couple years ago. They played 2 great games and an okay game, and it was over. Do you think, both of you, is the AFC just top to bottom a better conference than the NFC at this point?
Rob, you want to take it?
Yes, in a nutshell. Well, I mean, if Rodgers leaves the NFC, Breeze is gone. You're looking at, Atlanta is iffy. They would have the 5th pick for a reason, or 4th pick, whatever it was. The NFC West is tough. The NFC East is trash. If Rodgers leaves, the NFC North is pretty much trash. You look at the AFC, you have the Bills, Super Bowl contenders, Baltimore, Super Bowl contenders, the Chiefs, Super Bowl contenders, Titans, been the AFC Championship, and then the second round of the playoffs last year is Colts, decent. Then you have the Chargers, you have Cincinnati, Cleveland. Look at our Super Bowl picks.
A lot of improving teams.
Yeah, these are our sleepers. It's just tougher. The AFC is just much better, even though the NFC actually won the Super Bowl. But the path to get there is harder in the AFC.
It's certainly more competitive.
Yes, and I actually think the Bucks had an easier path to the Super Bowl and was the fresher team in the Super Bowl.
And got a home game for the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And, I think a lot of the pandemic teams like the Lakers, they're going to be worn out. And it's really hard, unless you're New England, to repeat in the NFL this day and age. They've got a lot of aging veterans. I think they're going to suffer a lot of more consequences, meaning injuries, et cetera, than last year. I don't think they'll repeat. Another team real quick I wanted to bring up was the Rams. I know San Francisco can play defense, but don't sleep on Matthew Stafford. They got a solid offensive line. It's not great. They did sign Deshaun Jackson, Mishon, as we used to call him, from California, Cal Golden Bears. But, that's also a what have you done for me lately.
Hey,
they have the best
fantasy team.
Yeah, you go ahead and take him. But he's got Woods and Cooper Kupp, though. So for once, he's not the guy that everybody's going to key on. And that may be a guy who's 5'7", by the way. But, they have the best interior defensive lineman in the league. They have the best cornerback in the league, in my opinion. When you got that stuff, I think you're going to be okay. And that's a winnable division. Seattle's on the decline. San Francisco, we don't know. They need to get a new trainer.
I think they'll be playing quarterback swappy with Lance and Garoppolo at some point.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about San Francisco. They're in the dumps.
And they're competitive. Arizona's good, obviously, but the Rams have done pretty well. And I think SoFi, the Rams were in LA, and they're going to get a much bigger following than the Chargers. I assure you that, unless the Chargers are 11-0 and the Rams are, 5-6.
Talking about home field, is there going to be any rowdier place in America than the Vegas Stadium this football season?
No, but not necessarily for the Raiders, like we said before.
Yeah, this is going to be crazy. That stadium, full capacity, all the people traveling again.
Tailgating all night.
In the Coliseum in LA, I used to see a fight every 10 seconds. I don't know what's going to happen there. It's going to be the number one road destination, obviously.
Yeah.
Security better be like next level outstanding. It's probably going to take 4 hours to get inside the stadium. Randall, you okay over there? Am I talking too much? Are you tired?
No. I had a root canal. I'm still numb. I was trying to get some feeling going.
Jesus. Dude, you go through every ailment possible and you still show up and ready to go.
It's called old age.
Hey, man, my back is messed up right now, but you've been through the ringer, and much respect because you show up ready to go every week. No, it's going to be crazy. But, in LA also, the Cowboys would come to LA to the Coliseum, and it would be, if the Raiders were terrible, which was more often than not, it would be 70% Cowboy fans. So it depends on what the Raiders are going to do. I think initially they're going to be, like I said, they're going to be, novel, and people are going to be stoked. And Raider fans are going to travel from Oakland, from LA, you name it. But if they don't win, there's going to be problems. And, the Vegas Golden Knights were entirely born and conceived in Vegas. They started winning right away. They are the talk of the town, no matter what the Raiders think. I mean, the hockey team is the most popular thing. Granted, it's the only professional team, but they have to win. It's Vegas. I wouldn't show up if they suck. If they suck.
And let me just piggyback on that. Everyone gives Gary Bettman a ton of crap about his league and his commissionership. There's been no better job of letting expansion teams be good from the onset and build their fan base. Same thing happened in Nashville. Yeah. Predators, they came to Nashville playoffs. They didn't make the cup the first year, but they were in the playoffs almost every year on the get-go. Like, that's impressive, and that's a good way to do it. Instead of having teams like Houston, who still sucks.
Hey, how about the Atlanta Thrashers? How they doing?
They're in Winnipeg now, man. Up in Canada where people care.
And did they come from Winnipeg? Were they the original Winnipeg Jets? I can't remember. Or were they like a brand new team?
The Thrashers were a startup team.
Yeah.
And so that didn't make it. But
I think that was
Atlanta's
before,
like LA.
I think that was before Bettman, though. I think.
Ah, fair. The attorney. That well done.
Facts matter, man.
It does. Very true. They do.
Well, guys, anything else to add on a Super Bowl contender?
I mean, obviously, I wanted to take the Titans, but that was off limits.
That Titans Cardinals game to open the season is going to be very interesting to see both of those teams. We had an NBA segment playing out, and looking at Twitter right now, we are looking at what we had played out. We knew Trae Young wasn't going to play tonight. We know that Phoenix has been the walking wounded at one point. Are injuries derailing the fun of the NBA playoffs at this point? Would a game 5 without Trae Young and Giannis just be the Bucks versus the Hawks? I don't know that no team, no other league other than the NBA depends on their stars to draw attention and eyes more than NBA. And Robbie, you've been very vocal about it. Is injuries just derailing a great playoff?
Well, so a couple things. Yes, it is, and the injuries are playing a huge role. And it's whoever's going to limp to the championship is going to win. Whoever's healthy enough is going to win. Adam Silver better be taking note, and they better not start in late October, early November, or this is going to happen again. You've got to push the season back, and it will be a catastrophe if these guys keep getting hurt. COVID was an off year, and this is learning on the fly, but Adam Silver's got to learn, and he's got to learn quick. This is not a good product. I think ratings are up because it's in late June and July, and there's not a whole lot going on, but they're not going to be up when you put them back into late May, when baseball's still exciting before you get to dog days of summer. But I mean, you may have, if Milwaukee somehow wins the series and you have a Bucks without Giannis against Phoenix or the Clippers without Kawhi, I mean, it's just just wake me up when whoever wins.
Right.
I agree entirely. I've said this before. LeBron James said it was not only the physical lack of recuperation time, but it was also the mental. No other sport is like basketball. In football, I think out of the 60 minutes or 48 minutes, I can't remember, they played 12 or 15, but there's like 17 minutes of actual playing time. Now, granted, obviously, they're two trains on the same track, but in baseball, you obviously have downtime. Hockey is pretty similar to the NBA, but you can make switches. You usually have 3 to 4, teams that you can run out there, meaning lines rather. The NBA is, stars play constantly, and that's what amazes me about LeBron James being his age. No player in history has been this effective. That's a different topic, but at his age, but there was nothing. I mean, if you could make a pandemic season, then I agree with Rob that you should have pushed it back. I mean, it's not. You've already bent the rules, if you will. It's no secret why these guys are getting hurt. Especially the playoff teams. Trae Young had bad luck. That hasn't been a playoff team, but they also didn't have as much rest as usual. Trae Young's young. Trae Young is young. But Milwaukee, deep in the playoffs every year. The Lakers, I mean, they were dead. Phoenix is like Atlanta. They haven't been in the playoffs since, Barkley and KJ. The Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, probably the most effective playoff player in the league, aside from playoff Paul, who now actually, I say that out of respect. He's hurt. The teams that were in the playoffs are largely banged up, and we just saw Giannis get helped off. Again, my bet your nuts was him coming back, but he is Euro after all.
Down 20, there's no reason to bring him back now.
Yeah, now they won't because Atlanta somehow is up 25. It's at home. And when the Hawks, it's a great basketball town. I've said that before. Not necessarily a Hawks fan town because it is Atlanta. There's tons of stuff to do. But it's a great basketball town. But yeah, I mean, most teams that have been competitive and gone deep, they're dead. And Silva really effed it up because ratings are higher right now because fans matter, but they've lost a lot of superstars. And there's a reason why the superstars are the guys that plays 48 minutes are hurt.
Yep. All right, Robbie. I think Rod said it well. You got any more to add to that?
Just one quick thing, and this is I just thought of it while Raj was talking. It's going to be interesting if Chris Paul wins a championship this year. He's the head of the Players Association. If he gets his ring, how does that affect negotiations on next year?
Great point. Great.
Do they start on time, or do they get pushed back? And where does this season start? It's just something to keep your eye on if Phoenix wins.
Well, it appears right now the Hawks are on their way to making this 2-2.
Hey, there's still time left. It's 21, but if Giannis is out, they're in trouble.
Does Trae Young have a chance to come back in Game 5, or was that publicized? Or
it's a right foot bone bruise. If it's a legit bone bruise, no, you're not playing on that. That hurts. I have a slight experience with that. Obviously, I'm not an NBA player, but that's a legit injury. And for a young kid, superstar, not to play, he's hurt. Go ahead.
I think it depends on Giannis. If Giannis is done, then you sit. If Hawks win tonight and Giannis is done, you sit Trae out for the next game, give him extra rest, and then if you're the Hawks, you can beat the Bucks 2 times in a row without Giannis out there.
Yeah,
so you give Trae the extra rest and you go win 2 in a row.
People said the same thing about Trae not playing tonight, and if you're the Bucks, you should beat them. They're going to be without their superstar. They're going to be at home. Milwaukee's an insane sports city, so it's certainly not a given, is my point.
Right. I would take my game. I'd bet that, though.
You bet everything, so that's fair.
What a lead into Bet Your Nuts. Guys, I went through, I think, every pick and I tried to really compile it this week. So we're going to keep this list going until the start of football season, and then we'll start again. Right now, as near as I can tell, I've been on a losing streak. Rob's been hot, and Mookie there have been about 500. I think we each have 11 victories. I have one still pending, but we're right. Throw a towel over us. We're right there. So let's push out the next 2 months and name the first ever Bet Your Nuts champion. Then we'll run a pool where we pool and have it posted on River City for football season. Sounds like a plan to you guys?
You're the boss. We're just here.
Yeah, dude.
That's what we're doing. I'm just going to let you know.
We're just
All right, Robbie.
eye candy.
What's your Bet Your Nuts this week?
All right. So, keeping with my racing theme, so this is
What got you hot was racing.
Yeah, this is about as big of a lock as you can have with these odds. So you have the favorite on Sunday is Chase Elliott. The number 2 favorite is Kyle Larson. Lawson is the hottest driver, leading the point standing in the playoff points in NASCAR this year. He's won 4 of the last 5 races. They both drive for Hendricks Motorsports. You can get a Hendricks Motorsport car to win the race at minus 155.
Oh, wow.
So that you have 2 cars for the price of 1, and they are the top 2 favorites to win. So my Bet Your Nuts pick this week is a Hendricks Motorsports car, and you get Byron and Alex Bowman. So Byron took over the 24 car, which was Jeff Gordon, and Bowman took over the 48 car, which was Jimmy Johnson. So you get those 2 for free with the top 2 favorites at minus 155. So Hendrick Motorsports to win the race on Sunday is my Bet Your Nuts pick.
All right, Rod, you're up next. I like that pick, by the way, Robbie. I'll bet that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different from that one time where you picked that one dude out of like 50. That was insane. I mean, the odds were certainly stacked, at least in my opinion. If you pick a racing team, what do you have, like 10 guys or something in the race?
I'm doing it for the it's 4 people. I'm doing it for the people, Raj, not for me, for the people.
Whose people?
Our
Not
people,
mine.
our viewers.
Nah, I'm just playing. No, I mean, racing is a ridiculously difficult thing to pick, in my opinion. You never know what's going to happen, right? I per usual, it's funny, in everything but sports, I'm very decisive. I've been so jaded by sports through the years that I'm not sure what to do tonight. I'm tempted to go with Kevin Gausman, and it's 0-0, the Giants versus the Dodgers. The 2 teams with the 2 best records. I think Boston's tied with LA, but the Giants have the best record in the league. It's because of pitching. As Braves fans, to watch Kevin Gausman have a 1.48 ERA and be like 10-0, that's got to stink.
6.9 in Atlanta for his stay. ERA.
I mean, there's no doubt that AT&T or whatever they call the Giants, Pacific Bell, whatever they call it now, is a pitcher's park. But this dude's been crazy. And I was leaning towards Walker Buehler because Walker Buehler's nasty. You know, we were watching earlier, the kid and I, game 6 last year in the playoffs. And that dude was throwing 100 in the 7th. He had not lost – the Dodgers had not lost a start until last time he started for 22 straight games, 22 or 23. So I was going to go with the Dodgers, but tonight, the game already started. I think the Dodgers were minus like 150.
Yes.
I hate this pick, but if Kawhi doesn't play, Phoenix is -1. I think the trend in the NBA, people think the home team's going to win. Usually the road team shows up, especially after a home loss. So I hate doing this because Arizona sucks, but
Zonies, man, zonies.
yeah, they're worse. It's California rejects. Everyone knows that. I'm going with the Suns -1. I hate to say that, but tomorrow I'm going with the Suns -1.
So my bet your net's a little complicated, and I'll keep track of it. But the Braves are in a 12-game stretch where they're absolutely, by the All-Star break, will be buyers or sellers. They get the Mets in this. They get the Marlins in this. I think it's the most critical stretch the Braves have through the year. I like the Braves put 100 on every money line for the next 12 days, and you come out plus $200. So
you're going to have to keep track of that one, dude, because I've got no chance.
Yep. The next 12 days, and I think if they don't win, I'm telling you, I think they win 8 of 12. That's where I'm kind of sitting at.
You got to take that. If there's one sport where you're substandard at the halfway point and you can come back and turn it around, whether or not it's free agency, it's baseball. That's a good team. That's 37-40.
So you're betting $1,200 to win $200.
Yeah, you're talking to the house right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
I
mean, can we take those odds? Can Robbie and I take those odds? Because
yeah,
I'll bank it right now.
I'll be the bookie.
Yeah, I'll bank it right now, dude.
I don't know that I won't play this a little differently. I'm just saying I will track it.
Hey, I've every single bet my nuts pick, I've actually bet it.
Oh, I'm gonna bet all 12 of them too. I think the Braves have a chance the way the pitching falls. In the next 12, they get 3 Max Fried, 3 Ian Anderson, and 3 Smiley starts. So 9 of the 12 games, I think they'll be a favorite. And their back's against the wall. So I think it's more than 200. I'll stick with that 8-4 number. The Braves go 8-4 over the next 12.
Pittsburgh and Miami blow, and yeah, they have 9 games against them. So, but you know, baseball is to a lesser effect, if you will, analogous to basketball in the sense they didn't have the same offseason. The Braves went super deep in the playoffs. So did the Dodgers. The Dodgers have lost multiple guys. The Braves have lost ridiculous amount of players. Soroka being out is a killer. Ozuna, that's a different story. And that's a winnable division. And nobody's really that great. So I don't dispute that. I don't think the Mets are that for real, if you will. They get them at home. They're at Pittsburgh and then at Miami. You know, if you say 8 out of 12, I would have to, you should bottom line that and take it. Because I had to take Phoenix.
Bottom line.
I loathe Phoenix. All right.
Bottom line, 8 of 12.
Actually, looking back on it, do y'all think the NFL even tested any players for COVID? Like they're the only ones that just went along their business. Like no big deal. Like here's our schedule. We're playing it.
They did on Hard Knocks, but after Hard Knocks, no.
I think it was weak testing at best.
Yeah, that's like the drug test when you report to training camp. It's not a drug test; it's a stupid test.
Yeah. All right, guys. I can't believe this show goes by so fast. Episode 17's in the book.
17. Wow.
17.
That's crazy.
We've actually showed up 17 times. So
me 16.
What's the number of views at? Like 50,000 somehow? Like
it was
engagements is very different than views.
It broke 40 one time.
Hey, that hate mail we got last week. Is he back or
I have not seen him.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Only compliment. But to Roger's point, we got there was one 7-day period 2 shows that got 14,000 views. I mean, 14,000. That's the population of Cleveland, I think. Tennessee.
I better lose some weight, dude. This pandemic effect, I gained the freshman 15. If we got that many views, never mind. I love my wife, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but
hey,
wow,
hey,
it's kind of crazy.
We don't have any groupies. I can assure you that.
No,
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Other than Shane.
Yeah.
Shane and I have been working on a show for him to host on our network that will be college football based, and maybe we're going to have it ready by the start of football season. But Shane's going to be a big part of that show, and I will appear occasionally, but it's going to be more of our group of friends, a more open forum for them to appear. I watch and mute everything.
Is that a good thing?
Shane, I'll come on anytime.
Yeah.
He's very photogenic as opposed to Randall and Rob, but
we're having trouble with figuring out when to have it. You know,
probably during college football season. But
no. But if you do it on Sunday, you're right in the middle of NFL. If you
Thursday.
do it on Monday,
we also have an NFL game Thursday.
Yeah, and we've got Tuesday shut out.
It's got to be Wednesday.
Friday is a tough night, but Wednesday would probably be it. But NFL injury designations don't happen or rather colleges as well. They don't necessarily happen on Wednesday.
So
hey, if I could get a 30-minute window each week of convincing everybody why they should trade with me for fantasy football, I'd appreciate that.
You know what? We're going to have a conference call in the next week or 2 weeks, probably after the 4th holiday. And again, there's amazing things happening on RiverCity-Media. I can't host every show or be on every show. So I'm trying to get in that executive producer role. So Shane's already hired you, I think, just then, Robbie. But I know my friend Dennis Swaney, from the other show I was on before this, the D Swain show, has showed some interest in doing the way we envision it is to have just if Ohio State has a big game, we'll have somebody that knows Ohio State on. If USC has a big game, we'll have somebody that knows USC. Kind of a rolling cast of characters. So, but that's not my big news. My big news is about this show in the network in general. Final details are being finalized. Final details are being finalized, but we are opening our own Patreon account where you can donate to us and help us expand this. If you enjoy this, we're not asking for $10 million. We're not TV preachers.
Well, but if you have $10 million.
But if you have it, but what we do now have is some swag, some stickers, some hats, some T-shirt. If you would like to support us, and what we're going to use the money for is not to go into Robbie's pocket or Randall's pocket or anybody's pocket. We're going to use it 100% to expand the programming, the network, our equipment, which we all need some more equipment. And you will receive every 3 months a nice little swag bag from RiverCity-Media. I'm not sure what the total dollar you need to donate per month, but I mean, we'll do 1 month, you'll get a free T-shirt and a couple of stickers. 3 months, you might get a hat and a little poster we're having built.
Don't forget, they're getting free gambling advice.
Yeah. My studio's you see my oven in the background right now? My studio's my kitchen.
Yeah.
No, for real, we do, Robbie and I and Randall, we do this for fun. It's not something that we bankroll. We all have families. It's a bit different. The money would anything gathered or raised rather would never go in someone's pocket unless Robbie and I go to Vegas and we would go.
And then we'll split the profits with the people that donate.
Yeah.
You, me, and everyone at Spearmint Rhino.
One other thing that you're going to get is maybe you'll get some custom content that's only for Patreons of River City Media.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely the wave of the future, and my buddy Duke's doing it on his channel. He calls it a fright bag every 3 months. We'll just call it a River City bag, but definitely we'll have more details next week. The other thing I want to bring up, and then I'll hush, is I want to congratulate a man of his word, and that man of his word is Robbie Davis, and he stuck it out there. Allison raised the money, and Robbie, thank you for stepping up to the plate, for maxing all donations over the last week, which I think cost you about 4 figures, but man, you're a man of your word. Thank you.
But hey, send us money.
Oh yeah, well yeah, my money goes to charity. We're asking you guys for charity.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We are
absolutely.
definitely not charity. We are the opposite of anything good.
Yeah, I don't think we're a 501c, so you won't get a tax donation, but you'll feel good, which is half of the battle of charity, anyways. No, it was. I said it on air, and so I had to match it. It went to good cause, and yeah, I mean that's kind of what I think we want to be as a show and as a entity, is have fun, and if we can help people out, we will.
Carry the message to the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Roger's final words must have been short, Robbie, because he dropped. Do you have any final words?
Yes. So, and I think we've talked about this on the show, where it was, when does football season start clicking into you? Apparently, it's this week for me. I've started thinking about fantasy football, and I've started looking at our draft calendar, and then looking at getting print-offs and magazines, and getting really ready for my draft strategy. As everyone in our league knows, my drought has been way too long, and so I'm starting to think about fantasy football, and I'm getting ready for the NFL, and I am very confident in my draft strategy. We've got the weekend picked out. Looks like we're going to the lake again this year, and so I'm looking forward to it. And it's, this year more than any, we don't see each other all that often, but these last 2 years have been the longest we haven't really seen each other. So I'm looking forward to getting back with you guys in a couple of months or a month and a half. And so that's my takeaway, is football season's around the corner, and I'm excited about it.
Absolutely.
Get down. Sorry, I'm talking to Phoebe Girl, my dog. She likes to sit here and watch us. Sorry to straight up 2008 drop the call, like Sprint or T-Mobile. It just happened, and I'm not going to say my carrier, but I'm not stoked with them. Yeah, man. I mean, we're about to. It is AT&T. We're about to get in the good stuff. Right now we have the Capella just went down, but sorry, the Hawks are going to move on, or not move on, but they're going to force another game. Or wait, is it going to be 3-2? Is that what it is? I'm supposed to be the NBA guy, but
it's going to be 2-2.
Wow. Oh, okay. Still, that's pretty impressive without Trae Young. Then again, a guy that shoots 50 times a game in a team sport, maybe it's saying something. But no, we're about to get in the good stuff. There's no doubt about it. Fall is the best time of the year when it comes to sports. I'm excited. I'm pretty stoked. It's going to be a good time this year, because it's the first time after the pandemic that everything's going to be going theoretically 100% full on. So get ready.
All right, y'all. I'm with you. I think you two both carried the same message. Football is coming.
Oh yeah.
So
even though all of our teams are going to suck, it's still football. That's what fantasy football is for, right?
All of my teams are going to suck. I mean, I'm looking at
times are going to be good.
I'm looking at straight up 11-24 is what I came up with all my teams. So,
wow, quite the calculation.
all right,
Impressive.
guys, for Raj, Mehta, and Robbie Davis, this is 3R'S Sports, and we appreciate your patronages and whatever it is. I've had a root canal. I'm going to bed.
Until next week.
Till next week.
Hey, straight off a holiday weekend.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, be safe. Happy birthday, America.